welcome to another Bimmer Fixer video, and in this video I'll be showing you how to remove your drop links in your BMW 5 Series E60. Now it's a relatively easy job to do. It's a great job to get into if you're new to automotive DIY. As I say, it's very simple to do. You don't need a lot of tools and the parts are relatively inexpensive. So the signs and symptoms that your drop links have gone bad: you can have some horrible noises coming from the front suspension, and also the handling can be off slightly, especially when you're going around bends and corners, and they can be picked up on an MOT, especially if they've deteriorated to a point where there's lots of movement or the rubber's actually degraded and there's grit that's got in and the grease has got out. So everything you're going to need to do this, you're going to need to get the car up in the air and the wheel off, so usual jack, wheel brace, lock and wheel nut. You're going to need some Allen keys and some torque screws, torque set, and some spanners and a socket set. Okay, so this is to help support one end while you undo the other at the top of the drop link. Going to need some copper grease as well, so it's to help the next person out, if it's not me, when they come to change them again in the future, and also the parts themselves. So yeah, so that's everything we're going to need. So what we'll do now, get the car up in the air, get the wheel off, and we'll have a closer look at that drop link. Okay, so just before we jack up the front of the car, it's worth mentioning that we want to ideally lift the entire front of the car, just to keep the weight even. What you can find that if you jack up only one side, it can pinch the drop link because there's a lot of stress on that one side. So ideally you want to lift the entire front of the car. Now with those sorts of trolley jacks, it can be a bit tricky because ideally you'd have a low profile jack go in from the front and jack up from the jacking point that's on the subframe. But a lot of people have these sorts of jacks, hence why I'm using it at the moment. And what I do is I jack it up on the usual jacking point, which is just under there, and then I place the blocks under the front wheels, then do the same on the other side, and then that should put the car up high enough to slide the trolley jack underneath the front, jack up from the usual jacking point on the subframe, and then you can place the axle stands either side, and then that keeps the weight even across the suspension and makes life a lot easier when it comes to taking out the drop link. Okay, so once your wheel's off, it gives you a chance to have a look at your drop link. So this is your drop link here. Okay, and it attaches to the strut at the top here, and then runs down to the roll bar, which is here. So as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but this has actually got a bend in it, which most definitely shouldn't be there. So definitely worth getting this replaced. And the rubber boots at the top here, as you can see, they've opened up. All the grease has got out and grit's got in. So what we need to do, it's a Torx 30, so you need to put a Torx 30 bit in the end there, and then if you get a size 16 spanner, pop it on there and you can counter turn them. Something I forgot to mention before, a wire brush and some WD-40 probably wouldn't go amiss. So that's what we'll do now. We'll get those WD-40 cleaned up, and then we'll break those loose and then see if we can get those removed. Okay, so once you have your cleaned up thread and bolt here, ideally you'd use a 16mm ring spanner, but I've only got an open-ended one, so I'm still trying to find mine. But what you need to do is put your T30 in the end of the thread there, so that will support it and stop it from spinning, and then you pop your spanner on there. There we go, and then work it off. Okay, so that's the upper and lower nuts removed. Just a word of caution with this one, because of the under tray here, it can make it a little difficult for the socket and the Torx to sit in there properly, and you risk it not sitting correctly and rounding off the center of that, causing all sorts of problems. So this is just going to move up slightly, just there's enough, and you'll feel the socket go all the way home. Okay, so now that's all done, what we'll do, we'll give them a little tap out with a hammer, and then we can have a closer look and inspection of this drop link. Okay, so that's the old drop link removed. It was a bit of a nightmare, simply because that bend, or the bend in the drop link, it was actually twisted as well. So what had happened is it had actually twisted into the top of the mount and into the roll bar, so I had to loosen the mount off slightly with a couple of bolts, that one there, and don't forget to see it, one there, just to loosen that off to give it enough play to actually remove. So yeah, this is well and truly shot. There's too much play there, and way too much play. It's even springy. But I'd say the worst thing is the fact of how bent that is. That should be perfectly straight. If you compare that to the new one, and you can see how bad that actually is. So that could explain a few things, a few symptoms with the handling I've been having. The rubber boot as well, that's gone. So that was well and truly mangled. This is a new one. Okay, so just to be aware, they are handed. Okay, it's not one size fits all. So what you need to make sure is that the washer here is at the top, and that sits in the bracket just here. Okay, so the washer goes at the top, and then the bottom will pop into the roll bar. So what we'll do now is we'll pop a little bit of copper grease on here, and then we'll refit. Okay, so once you have your drop link in and making sure that the washer is at the top, see there, pop it through, make sure you've got your copper grease on your thread, and with your nylock, so it's got the bit of nylon on the end there to lock it in, just pop it on. Like I say, it's a 17, so what we'll do is we'll pop our 4mm Allen in the end, like so, and then again with a ratchet spanner or a ring spanner it would be a lot easier, and we just tighten it down. Okay, so there we go, there's our new drop link, all done, all in, all torqued up to 60 newton meters of torque. Yeah, much better. You can, I don't know if you'll be able to tell now, but I can definitely tell the difference already just on how the hub's sitting with the roll bar compared to what it was. So yeah, there we go. So what we'll do now is we'll get packed away, get the wheel back on, and make sure it's all good. Okay, there we go, job complete. So I hope you found the video helpful and useful. If you did, please get a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. And if you've got any questions at all, please ask away in the comments and I'll get back to everyone as quick as I can. So there we go guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.